Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the online blog conference and we are here to do some online continuing education. With me today is Melissa Megginson from Tailwind, and she is here to talk with us about Tailwind Analytics, how to interpret them, what they mean, and how best to decide if you should keep a board or break up with a board. Here with us today is Megan. Hi Megan, how are you doing?
Melissa Megginson.
Oh,
it's confusing. It's even worse because my middle name is Margaret and I'm the marketing manager. So Melissa Margaret Megginson, marketing manager.
Oh my God.
It's horribly confusing.
Well, I'm sorry, Melissa.
No problem.
Thank you so much. All right, so we want to know, everybody wants to know, we get into our dashboard and we look at these numbers and what do all these percentages mean? Is it good? Is it bad? Where do I rank? And we all want to, know if we're doing well. We all want to know, are my numbers good? And then how do I improve those numbers? How do I do better? How do I get the numbers to go up? So I hope you can help us figure out how to do all that.
Well, that's what we specialize in. So hopefully we'll get that for you guys.
Perfect.
All right, so if we're ready to jump in.
Yes.
I can start sharing my screen. All right. And Karen was kind enough to let me use her account here.
Yes, don't laugh up my numbers. I have no idea if they're good or bad, but they are mine and I'm proud of them.
So I just want to start with the profile performance page, and this is giving you a very high-level overview of how your profile is performing. This is just looking at your Pinterest account, not necessarily looking at your domain, but it obviously, if you're pinning things from your domain, the numbers will be reflected in here. So first we have followers, which is pretty obvious. It's the number of followers that you have on your account. With the plus plan, you get a week's view, so you can see here the growth. There's a very steady, nice growth line here. And this chart breaks it down by day. And then pins is the number of pins that you have pinned. So Karen has 23,000 pins on her account and has pinned almost 200 in the last 7 days. Repins, look at the total repins that you have received on your account and breaks it down by the last 7 days, and then similar with the other two, by day, how it's performed and how it's grown. Likes is the same thing. Often this number is much lower than the others because likes just are sort of an afterthought on Pinterest, but it's still engagement and it's still something that's good to see an upward trend with. The engagement rate is the least confusing, I believe, of the charts down here. So the engagement rate just is the percentage of pins with at least one repin. This doesn't mean necessarily that there are 0 pins without a repin on the account. It just means that of your total repins, there are enough repins to go around, essentially. So your performance is so high that even if you have 50 pins without a repin, you have a few pins that have gone viral to cover everything, which looking up here, over 300,000 repins versus 23,000 pins. You're doing really well there.
I don't know how, but it's all thanks to Tailwind, in my opinion.
I will gladly take the credit for that on behalf of Tailwind. And virality and engagement score are where a lot of people get tripped up on our account. So the engagement score is showing how your content performs among just your followers. This just means the people that are following you, whether they're engaging with your content or not. The virality score is, to me, the more interesting one because it's showing how your content is resonating over all of Pinterest. It's not just looking at your followers. So having a high, your numbers are actually flipped from mine. My engagement score is much higher than my virality score, and I was aghast when I realized that today. But having a 14 day average, 30-day average is really strong. That means that you are getting at least 14 repins per pin over all of Pinterest. And it's a little bit confusing, I know. But it's showing that your pins are showing up in the category feeds. They're doing well in search. You're not just hitting the people that are already interested in your account. You're hitting the people that are searching and discovering things on Pinterest. This is a good indicator at how your SEO is going. Although we don't have benchmarks over all of our accounts, so 14 may not mean much to you. If you keep track of it within your own account, that can be a great way to benchmark yourself and figure out how you're doing.
Okay. So obviously I would like that to be higher. I mean, that would, well, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get more page views, but that's more people seeing my pin, right?
Yeah, more eyeballs.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you're looking to engage your followers more, like say you've worked really hard to build a following that is very specific to your industry, seeing a low engagement score could mean that you just need to work on putting out that content that your followers are interested in, which leads us over to the board insights. From what I hear, there are a lot of questions about this page too. And similar to the profile performance page, it's automatically sorted by the engagement score. So from here, you can see that your blog board is the top one based on engagement. So this means that your followers that obviously are interested in what you are doing are engaging with this board the most. They're most interested in what is coming from your blog. It makes perfect sense, really. And it doesn't necessarily, it still has a very high virality score, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's resonating over all of Pinterest. I know on my personal board, on my personal account, that's certainly the case. So if we sort by virality score, it does change. Often the top ones will be group boards because they are so massive. And they're looking at more than 500,000 repins here over the 73,000 followers. That's a lot of numbers that don't necessarily reflect how your account is doing, but it does give you an idea of, oh, hey, this chocolate dessert recipe board is actually providing a really great way to get in front of a lot of people that I might not have otherwise been in front of. Maybe I should up my game with my chocolate desserts board. Whereas with the engagement score, you can say, my blog board is doing great. I need to pin more regularly to my blog, maybe recycle some of that old content, get it on there, get it in front of people. Another great thing about this page is if you're not necessarily interested in group boards, I know there's been a lot of talk about whether or not they're on the outs now or how they're affecting your Pinterest strategy. You can go ahead and just uncheck them. And that'll only leave your boards. You can uncheck secret boards too, and you can see how your boards are doing. And since these are the boards that you have the most control over, these are the ones that you can say, maybe my for the home board, I can make that secret until I have more time to focus on it. Or, man, I really need to pay more attention to 2 Cup Tuesday because it's doing pretty well over Pinterest and within my audience. You can also, if you see a huge jump in repins or followers from your profile performance page, try to get those words out, you can also sort by how it's performed in the last 7 days. So it looks like you might have had a pin go viral on this 2 Cup Tuesday board this past week, or else it's just a very popular board to pin from.
I don't know. That board surprises me sometimes. I'm thrilled with that board, but I There's no rhyme or reason to the board.
Well, if you want to check it out, come over here and click to analyze your pins. And this will automatically load in your pin inspector page with that board segmented out. So it's just showing the pins on that page. And your most popular pin is this 2 Cup Tuesday one. Oh, that's not the name of the pin. Here it is.
That's okay.
Mini raspberry shortcakes.
So I host a party once a week, and I invite other bloggers to come and join me. And as one of the things I do is I pin a lot of the things that they share with me. So this is the board that I put everything into. So it is just a general collection of everything and crafts and food and things of that nature. So it's just a hodgepodge.
It's your junk drawer Pinterest. Where you put everything.
It's just, it has everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and if you see that something is doing really well on here and you'd like to share it maybe to a group board or to another board that could be relevant for it as well, you can schedule the repin directly from here and pick the different boards. I won't do that for you. So I'll go ahead and exit out of this board. And it looks like your top pin is this chocolate martinis one, which that sounds delightful. You can sort this page by repins, likes, comments, when it was pinned, the board, or if you're looking for things that are only from your domain, you want to see how those have been performing on your account. You can go ahead and type it into the search bar up here. It's a little bit slow. My computer has had a long week as well. There we go. Okay. And then you can see all of the content that you've pinned and how it's performed. Maybe there's something that you pinned a long time ago that's starting to gain traction, and you can see those pop up. And then schedule a repin from here. But the thing about looking at the pins from your domain, just from your account, it doesn't give you a full picture of what's actually trending on Pinterest and what's actually driving traffic to your domain. It could be something else. It could be these pins. And that's where the monitor your domain section comes in. So Domain Insights page just gives you a really broad overview of how your domain has been performing for the last week. It looks like you have had 470 pins created with, well, that's very odd. Somehow your daily average is higher than your pins. That's something we might need to ask a developer about. And then the potential impressions is a really fun one. The chart comes with a higher level plan, but you can at least see your potential impressions for the whole week and your daily average. So you are looking at almost 5 million potential impressions.
I wish. We all wish.
What that just means, and I believe Pinterest does something similar, a lot of sites do similar things. It's looking at the pins pinned to someone's board. So if they pin 2 of your pins to a board and that board has 1 million followers, that becomes 2 million potential impressions because there's a potential for 2 million people to see it.
But in reality, like 2 people see it.
Potentially, yes. I think Pinterest Analytics has a better grasp, since they're Pinterest on that, but this can at least give you an idea of who, maybe influential people are pinning your content and that's how it's getting that massive impression.
Is that pretty much just a culmination of all my boards added up together with the followers?
It's not just your boards. It will be some of your boards. It's also going to be like if Joy Cho pinned one of your pins to her, I think 13 million people, that's 13 million impressions right there.
Okay.
And this is also just for the week.
Okay.
And over here is visits, which I believe this is connected to your Google Analytics. So you can see that you've had almost 3,000 visits from Pinterest this week, which is incredibly high, and a daily average of 427. So people are clicking through from Pinterest to your site, and that's
yay, and more,
awesome
more.
All right. If we come over here, these images, I'm sure you recognize them from your blog.
Yeah.
You can click in. The biggest one is going to be the one that has the most pins for this past week. Okay. From your Plus plan, you can only see your latest pins coming from your blog, but it does provide you with a word cloud, so you can see what things people are pinning about when they're pinning from your site. Often they won't change the description, so it's going to be things that you have put in your, either in your share button or in your alt text or however you decide to put that on your website. But it can at least show you that, oh, cake pops are doing really well for my site. Making things is doing quite well. Sized baker, I'm sure that has something to do with your name.
Yeah.
Desserts are doing well. Delicious things. Some of these they're going to be a little bit more obvious. Chocolate. But it can, over here, Bailey's. That may not be something that you would have thought about in the past. And now you know that people enjoy their
days coming up.
Yeah, makes sense.
Everyone's making Bailey's spiked treats and stuff.
They love their boozy treats.
Yes.
And so this is just showing the pins that have been pinned from your domain recently. This one was pinned only 40 minutes ago. You can click through and it'll actually take you to the pin on Pinterest. So you can see that, oh, it looks like
it's me, the schedule.
But potentially you could find someone to, if there's someone pinning your pins a whole lot, you could reach out to them and say, hey, thank you so much for pinning. Maybe we can work together. If it's an influencer, thanks for pinning, and you want to pin a whole bunch more of these, it's a great way to start that relationship.
Okay.
And then finally, for your domain, we have the referral traffic. And this is showing your Google Analytics data just from Pinterest. So if you come here and you think, oh my gosh, how has my traffic dropped that much? Don't worry, it's only the traffic that you see coming from Pinterest. So you've had almost 3,800 visits, 3,800 visitors. So that means that there are people hitting your site and then coming back to it this week. Page views are higher than the visits and the visitors, which means once they've landed on your site, they're looking at more than one page, which is awesome. That is what you want. Revenue is not going to be relevant unless you have an online store connected to your Google Analytics. And some of our users that have that, it's really interesting to see that, maybe they'll put a promotion on Pinterest and their revenue will grow for that week, and they can track it just directly through the dashboard and don't have to go into Google Analytics and run a whole bunch of crazy numbers through it. And I believe that is it for the analytics. We did go over publishing last time.
Yeah, can you go back though to the board insights? Because Tony was asking what's the maximum for the virility score, and on average for bloggers, like what in our area, like what are people getting? I mean, are there boards out there with 100 virility score?
There are, but these are influencers mostly. Influencers are really, really popular group boards. The virality score is, it's almost impossible to benchmark it against anyone else. You just have to look at it for your own account and judge yourself against yourself.
Okay.
So just because you have a low virality score does not necessarily mean that you are doing poorly, especially if that virality score keeps growing. That's what you want to pay attention to. You don't want a virality score that's just stagnant or declining. You want to make sure that it's growing and that you are reaching the right people and getting your name out there, getting out there on optimizing your pin so that they're showing up in search, that sort of thing.
So are we able to download a Excel sheet or a report on this each week? Is there a way to do that, or is that only for the higher paid?
It's only for our higher paid plans,
Okay.
which we are working on right now. It's a kind of crazy jump. It goes from $15 monthly to $150 monthly.
Yeah, there needs to be something right in the middle.
We're working on it.
Okay.
That is something that will be coming. We know it's a pain point for a lot of people, and that jump is a little ridiculous for most people, especially bloggers and small businesses. And we don't want to leave you guys just hanging out there with not enough analytics. So it is something that we're hoping to release relatively soon.
Okay. And so before we started, we were talking, since the virility score is like an average on that whole entire board, you commented that on average for this pint-sized baker, on average, each pin gets about 43 repins.
That math makes sense to me. I want to double check with,
Okay.
with the development team to make sure before I say for sure that's what it is. But yeah, I can ask them, and then I can comment on the Google Plus page and give you guys a definite answer.
Okay.
It makes sense that that would be the average.
Okay. And engagement score is strictly a mathematics of pins times followers divided by repins or something, correct?
So it's the virality score divided by your followers.
So 43 divided by 10,500.
Mm-hmm.
And virality score is the average number of repins per pin.
Yeah, strictly repins per pin.
So it would be, I'm sorry, it'd be like 33,000 divided by 760.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that doesn't, again, it's like with the engagement rate, it doesn't necessarily mean that every single pin has 43 repins.
No, they don't.
Yeah. It just means that, you know, some may have 1 and some may have 1,000.
And this, you said, is the lifetime of the board. So when I started Pinterest, when I was 5 years old, it's from the very beginning of when I joined and created this board.
Yeah, it's a good total aggregate of your account.
Okay.
So 33 repins since you started that board.
Okay.
33,000 repins. Don't want to discount you.
Can you find one of my bigger group boards that has a lot more sort by followers.
Oh, by followers, sure.
Sure. Okay, so there's a big board, big numbers, big pins, but I would have to go and look to see how, like on Best Comfort Foods, how many pins I personally have pinned there. Because it's minuscule compared to their 500,000.
Yeah, and it looks like this board performs much better over all of Pinterest than it does with its actual followers.
Oh, okay.
Which the difference in number here, the engagement score is incredibly low, but the virality score is quite high.
So is that a desirable board?
I would say so. A board with a very low virality score and a low engagement score, that one is going to be less desirable. So
the next one,
sort by small. So holiday celebrations, This one, you may think about leaving. If it's one that's performed well for you, then you can keep it going. But because the virality score is not so high, it looks like, yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of pins and not a whole lot of repins.
Yeah.
It may not be the best one. Maybe the description isn't very good, or people have been pinning things that aren't related to the topic, or not optimized pins, something like that.
Okay. So if I were the owner of Breakfast Delights, which kind of am, I would want to maybe clean up the board and look at the keywords that people are putting in there, or clean up in general to try and generate more people to come to it.
Yeah, that you could definitely try that. Maybe even reach out to some other people to try and join the board and gain interest that way. There's a lot of reasons that group boards don't perform. It's not necessarily always that they're just full of spammers, which I know was a problem in the past, but Pinterest has been pretty good about cleaning that up recently. So take a look at it. If you can't see anything wrong with it, maybe just pin to it more.
Okay.
Try and build it up that way.
Okay. Oh, all right. So Nicole commented that she was happy as well to see that her blog board was the #1 in the virality as well as engagement. So she was very happy to see that. That's a good thing. And she commented that it would make sense that your virality is higher if you have more pins, since it's repins divided by followers. Now, can that hurt you on these big boards like we just saw, that there are so many pins, but the repins isn't spectacular?
It could. Let's see. Try and find one here. Yours are actually all pretty good, but one of the ones that Tailwind was a part of for a long time had so many pins, hundreds of thousands of pins, and maybe 2,000 repins. That was a board that was just full of people putting up like buy one, get one free Ray-Ban sunglasses, or buy your high tops here, stuff like that. That just awful, awful stuff. And there was a board that we obviously left. But if you are noticing that a board has a ton of repins or a ton of pins and not a lot of repins, definitely go check it out and maybe leave it.
Okay. So Tony would like some clarification. She's commenting that the statistics are only for the weeks period. However, should one make the decision to leave a group board with only looking at a week's worth of virality? But you're saying on this board, it's all time. It's not just the week.
It is all time.
But if we go to our pin inspector, am I right? No, that's still
profile performance.
Profile performance. Well, that doesn't tell me my board, though.
No, this is just your overall profile. So all of your pins and all of your repins. It's these numbers up here. Okay. And this is taking into account your past 30 days. Yeah, your past 30 days. And it'll tell you when you've hit a new high. Meaning that you're growing, you're doing well, you're trending in the right direction.
Doing something right, okay.
Yeah.
So just because the date there is in that corner doesn't mean that those are the dates on your board when you were back at the board page. Those, and that February 25th to March 3rd, that's not relevant to these numbers.
It's only relevant to the last 7 days portion on the pins, followers, and repins.
Okay, so the green numbers, that's
right.
Okay.
Which is a great way to see if you've had a pin go viral. You can see like your profile performance. If you've seen your repins just take off, you can come in here, sort by the last 7 days, and see what board is driving those repins.
But I wouldn't see that on a group board though, because somebody else's pin on that group.
Right, you would want to
sort my personal boards.
Yeah, what is going on here? I think I checked the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's okay. So we have total forever since you joined, since that board was created, and then the last 7 days. So if you're looking to break up with a board, you still want to use this page to determine the lifetime virality and the lifetime engagement.
Right.
Okay, and since neither one of those have green numbers, those will not be, it's not valid for just the 1 week's worth of information.
Yes.
Okay, Tony, I hope that answered your question and clarified things there.
And if not, feel free to email me.
Okay. Well, now that all my numbers are out there, thank you. Yeah, I've been using Tailwind for, you have my information there, like 2 years or so. And I've just been plugging away and not really, I want to say I don't work at it. I do work on it very hard, and I do try to fill up my queue every week, and I do try to, since I'm a dessert blogger, post a lot of desserts, and I do try to diversify with crafty things and meal planning. And so I try to get out there and do more and help other blogging friends with pinning groups and things of that nature. So I try to have a diverse set of boards. So I'm doing something. I mean,
yeah, that's the role of Pinterest.
I don't think I have anything magical any magical insight I have to offer, but I hope that it helps everybody out there to see some numbers. I've been working very hard at it, and just every day, just growing a little bit, 100 here and 100 there, and it adds up, and that's my magic. That's my key.
It's always nice to see hard work paying off too.
Yes. All right. Well, if anybody else has any questions, we got everything so far. Tony says that thank you, that answered her questions.
Awesome.
And if there are anything, please, you can leave a comment in the HOA. You can tag Melissa in it, as well as sending her an email at Tailwind. You can also use the help button in Tailwind if you have a question about anything. Don't hesitate to use that. I do use it kind of often, actually.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was fun.
Great. If anybody else has anything, let us know. Send me an email, pop into the OBC community and leave a message there. And we will see you next time for another continuing education presentation brought to you by the Online Blog Conference. Thanks so much, everybody.